Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video, and today I'm trying something new. I'm gonna hope that this becomes the first long-standing series on the channel. Typically, I'll just kind of do random videos about topics I'm feeling, or I'll do those nightly recaps, which I guess you could kind of consider a series. But my hope is that this will be a long-standing series for the channel, and as you can tell by the title, it's called Trending Up, Trending Down. And the point of these videos is to talk about two or three. Today, I have three for each one topics in the NBA that are either trending up or they're trending down. These can be teams, they can be players, they can be award races, anything like that. So I've got some pretty interesting stuff to talk about today. This is going to be a cool opportunity for me to talk about more overarching topics than rather just the nightly recaps and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about it. Drop a like, comment below, tell me about some things that you think are trending up or trending down. And if there's something in this video that I don't mention, let me know about it so maybe I could talk about it in a video coming up. Today's Tuesday, so maybe this will become a Tuesday thing. I want to kind of try and do it weekly. So throughout the week, if there are some things that you think are trending up or trending down, tweet at me on Twitter at 3_Cone, and I'll take note of that. I can't fit all of them in this video. There are a lot more things I'm going to talk about here, but I'm talking about some of the things that I think are more interesting or some of the things that I just really want to talk to you guys about. So with that being said, I'm not going to delay any further, and let's get right into it. So our first thing that's trending up is Giannis and Harden's MVP cases. Now, I know this is two things, but I kind of want to wrap them up in one since they are competing against each other for this award. I'm going to go ahead and start with Giannis. The Bucks right now are on a 5-game win streak. They're way up there in the Eastern Conference at the 3 seed right now. And over this 5-game win streak, Giannis is averaging 35.6 points per game, which is unreal. 13.8 rebounds, 5.8 assists, a steal and 2 blocks, and shooting about 55% from the field. He also has around a 78% free throw percentage, which is really impressive for Giannis, a guy who has historically really struggled from the line. He's just been really dominant over this stretch, and in their last game, he completely took over in the clutch, scoring almost all of the Bucks' final points through the last stretch of the game, and was on national television against a really good opponent in the Los Angeles Clippers. And I've seen a lot of people start to talk about him in their MVP ladders. He's really starting to rise up the rankings, and he rightfully should be. The Bucks are right there, like I said, behind the Nets for the 2nd seed, and they're also right behind the Sixers, only 1.5 games out of a team that's been considered one of the better teams in the NBA this season. And Giannis on the season is averaging 29.2 points per game, 11.8 rebounds, 5.9 assists, just all around incredible numbers. It's kind of what you expect from Giannis at this point. He's almost kind of normalized it, which is a part of why I think he's not getting as much respect as he's gotten in the past years. And speaking of those past years, a big reason why I think people really aren't talking about him is he's just won this award 2 times in a row. But at this point, he's kind of made it impossible to ignore him as a contender for it. If you're not talking about Giannis in your MVP award race as at least a top 10 candidate, there's a lot of guys you could talk about. I think he's around 7, 6-ish maybe. And if the Bucks continue to rise, he continues to play like this, it's going to be hard to ignore him as a contender for the award once again. Now for James Harden, the Nets are also rolling. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They have wins over the Warriors, Suns, Lakers, Clippers, and Spurs in that stretch. And a lot of those games were without Kevin Durant, including a big one against the Suns where he was without Kyrie Irving. So James Harden's been carrying a pretty heavy load, even though it's typically thought of with the Nets as having those 3 superstars. Each of them are kind of missing time, and Harden's been the really consistent guy that's had this team kind of on his back at times. Over this 10-game stretch, Harden's averaging 27.3 points per game, 10.6 assists, 9.6 rebounds, and he's shooting 48.9% from the field, 46.1% from 3, and 82% from the line, which are absolutely incredible splits. I don't think I need to tell you that that's really good shooting. And a couple of his most impressive performances include his game versus Phoenix, like I just mentioned. Without Kyrie Irving, he put up 38 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds en route to a win against a really good Suns team that's top 4 in the Western Conference right now. And doing it without Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant on a supporting cast a lot of people consider as one of the worst in the league, it was very, very impressive. Additionally, just yesterday, or I believe yesterday is when you should be seeing this video, against the Spurs, Harden put up 30 points, 15 assists, and 14 rebounds in a win with not a single turnover, not one. And I believe if I saw the stat correctly, that's one of the first times it's been done since the 70s, which is unreal. James Harden with an incredible performance. I really doubt Harden's going to win the award just due to the fact that he's playing with KD and Kyrie Irving, and it's kind of earned that reputation as being kind of a stacked squad in that right. But he definitely has earned a spot in the conversation because at this point, he's playing some of the best basketball of his career. Even if his scoring's down, his playmaking's up, and he's really elevated this Nets. Now, unfortunately, on the other side of the James Harden trade, after we talk about him being an MVP candidate, we have the Houston Rockets, a team that is our first trending down topic of the week. The Rockets have been really, really bad. And not even just the course this past week. Since Christian Wood got hurt, they're 0 of 12. They're on a 12-game losing streak. And it's not that they're just losing close games. They're losing by an average of 17.3 points per game over that stretch. 17.3. They're getting blown out nightly. And this includes losses by 25 to the Charlotte Hornets, 22 to the Knicks, 20 to the Bulls, 26 to the Cavaliers, and a 49-point loss to the Grizzlies, where their whole team, their entire roster, got outscored by the Grizzlies bench, 85 to 84. That's really, really bad. Additionally, they're also getting out-rebounded by over 10 rebounds a game during that stretch, a problem which is amplified by the fact that they just released DeMarcus Cousins last week, who was one of the more competent big men on the roster before Christian Wood got hurt, and now they've been starting Justin Patton, OKC Thunder legend, but he's just really not getting the job done on the boards. They've really plummeted. They're at the 14th spot in the Western Conference right now, only being trailed by the Timberwolves, who just fired their coach and have been a mess with injuries. Victor Oladipo is struggling really badly as reports continue to kind of circulate that he's going to do whatever it takes to get to the Miami Heat. Whether they want him or not, he's going to find his way into that roster, and he just hasn't looked like the player he was pre-injury. John Wall, additionally, is rightfully frustrated after being pretty optimistic about the season. He talked about hopeful that he would be the franchise player after James Harden was traded, and it's just not been that since James Harden left. However, it's not all bad. As Christian Wood heals up, he'll eventually come back and eventually will help this team. He's been a really fun player. He was a potential all-star candidate before he ended up getting hurt. And additionally, their draft pick is only owed to the Thunder if it's outside the top 4. So if the Rockets continue to lose like this, even if their fans have to watch this basketball, the chances that their pick remains with them continues to rise. And as a Thunder fan, I hope Christian Wood comes back soon because I want that draft pick. But for Rockets fans, if Christian Wood doesn't come back soon, or even if when he comes back the team continues to struggle, it's not all bad. Maybe you'll keep your draft pick. Back on the trending up side of things, we have the New York Knicks. Knicks basketball in general, man. Apparently it's back. For the first time in a while, the Knicks are pretty damn good. They're currently 4th in the Eastern Conference and are sitting at 18-17, which is an above 500 record, something that you typically don't see from the Knicks at this point during the season, or at least not in recent history. Julius Randle, as you probably know, was named an All-Star about a week ago. He's been on a tear recently. He's averaging 24.7 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, 5.3 assists, which is incredible for him. 2.3 steals a game and about a third of a block per game on 53.4% shooting from the field, 46.7% shooting from 3, and 71.4% shooting from the free throw line over this next 3-game win streak that they're currently on. Additionally, you've got a guy in Emmanuel Quickley who has looked like one of the steals of the draft. He's continued to ball out. He's dropped a team-high 25 points in just 20 minutes versus the Kings, and a lot of those points came in like 5 minutes. I think he had like 13 points in like 4 minutes in that game. His ability to be a burst scorer is huge for this Knicks team, and it bodes super well for the future of his career. Additionally, Derrick Rose has looked like a really good addition. He put up 17 and 11 on the Pacers, in a game which also featured the hopeful future of the franchise for the Knicks, RJ Barrett, putting up 24, 7, and 2. And as he continues to grow as a player, he's finding his consistency, and he's looked better and better as the season has gone on. Knicks really deserve this after years of suffering, and this Knicks team in general is just really fun to watch, and they're really hard to root against. I don't know how you could root against this Knicks team, unless you're talking about the Knicks fans who are saying that Julius Randle is better than prime Chris Bosh on Twitter, which at that point, maybe you could have a little bit of beef with that, but I think they deserve a shout out. I'm rooting for the Knicks. Our second trending down topic of the video is the Sacramento Kings. I could rant about the Sacramento Kings for a long time. I did it in a video a couple days ago. I'm going to start off with saying I have no idea how Luke Walton is still the head coach of this team. I would have fired him years ago, and he continues to stay. They had a terrible loss the other night. I'll get into that in a second. But overall, they're 1-10 in their last 11 games, and their only win is a 3-point win over one of the league's worst teams in the Detroit Pistons. Now, the Pistons do play hard, but when you're a team that before the season was playoff hopeful, this can't be happening. You can't have stretches like this. You can't be losing to teams like this. And the last game that they just played against the Charlotte Hornets was one of the biggest collapses I've ever seen from a team in the clutch. With about a minute left, they're up 8 with 2 free throws and the ball due to a flagrant foul from LaMelo Ball. I almost called him Lonzo for a second. De'Aaron Fox misses both free throws. They fail to score, and the Hornets end up coming all the way back, winning on an and-one layup from Malik Monk. It was terrible. If you want to see me rant about that, go check out my video. I think I called it "The Sacramento Kings Are Wasting Time." I dropped it a couple days ago. I ranted. I went all in on Luke Walton. So if you're a Kings fan or just someone who likes to see that, go check that out. Overall, the Kings just have way, way, way too much talent to be playing this poorly. And just a few seasons ago, they barely missed the playoffs after a late run. And now it just feels like they're taking a ton of steps back, even though their young talent's improving and developing. De'Aaron Fox is playing great basketball. Marvin Bagley's improving. Buddy Hield's still solid. Harrison Barnes has been having a good season. And they just still can't put it together. Luke Walton has to go, and I wouldn't be surprised if this roster looks a lot different post-trade deadline, because if I was De'Aaron Fox, or if I was anyone who's been on that Kings team long-term, I'd be getting very tired of the losing. Our final trending up topic of the video is the Miami Heat. Now, they started the season pretty poorly relative to everyone's expectations. They were at the bottom of the Eastern Conference for a while, and people were starting to freak out, like, oh my god, is this Heat team bad? Was it a fluke? And since starting the season 11-17, they've won 7 of their last 10, including now 6 in a row to move to the 5 seed in the conference, and they're 17-17 on the season at a .500 record. Jimmy Butler has been almost a walking triple-double recently. He's averaging 22.4 points per game, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds over his last 5 games, including a 33-point, 10 rebound, 8 assist performance in a win over the Utah Jazz. A really, really good team that's only lost 8 games on the entire season. That's a huge win for the Miami Heat. Those are the type of statement wins you need to make if you're trying to come back from a poor start to the season like they are. Kendrick Nunn has shown a lot of flashes of his play from last season. He kind of was unplayable in the playoffs, and a lot of people started to wonder if he was just a flash in the pan, but he's shown a lot of what made him one of the most interesting rookies last season, this season. He's starting to kind of look like a potential cornerstone for the Heat's future, and if they could get that out of him, that's a huge plus. Bam Adebayo has continued to be a force. People have started to talk about him as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I do think he's a great defender. I don't know if he's quite in that conversation yet, but he's been a force. Even though his scoring has taken a slight dip since personnel have kind of returned from injury, he's been amazing. Easily one of the most interesting aspects of that Miami Heat team. And they're really starting to regain some of the swagger that kind of helped carry them through to the finals. They feel like a team that could beat you on any given night. They play hard. Eric Spoelstra's done a great job. And I don't think any team wants to face them in the playoffs. If you're a contender, I would not want to face the Miami Heat in the second round. I would hope that they fall out in the first round. And our final trending down topic of the video is All-Star Weekend. Now, this one's a little different than the other ones. The other ones were teams or players. This one's kind of a concept in a way. Now, there's a couple different things I want to talk about with this. First of all, it kind of sucks. No All-Star jerseys are apparently being sold for the players that made the game. This comes from the Phoenix Suns Twitter account that just randomly said this. That kind of sucks. I guess it makes me happy that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't make his first All-Star game this season, because I would have wanted a jersey really badly, and if I wasn't able to get one, that really would have sucked. So if you're trying to get an All-Star jersey, I'm sorry, it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to. Hopefully they find some way around that, or I know they have All-Star t-shirts too. I guess we'll just see. Another problem is that a lot of guys, a lot of big profile names have decided against participating in their respective contests that they're invited to. Zion, Jaylen Brown, and Miles Bridges all said no to the dunk contest. Damian Lillard has now backed out of the three-point contest, saying he wants to rest instead, which I understand completely. And LaMelo Ball has now backed out of the skills challenge. So these are big names that really draw in fans, and they're sitting out. Additionally, you have Kevin Durant, who's now sitting out of the All-Star game due to rest. Once again, I completely understand. It's been a really packed season, a lot of back-to-backs and stuff, and a lot of interesting, just different protocols you have to go through that could tire someone out. So I understand players sitting out of this, and I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if more players decide to sit out of their contests, as well as the All-Star game. Additionally, the idea of having everything in one night is really interesting. I'm just not sure how seriously some of the players are going to take the events if they're partaking in multiple of them. For example, Steph Curry, if he's doing the three-point contest, does that mean that he won't take the All-Star game as seriously? Will we not see him as much, which kind of takes away from some of the fun of it? I don't know. Maybe that's a thought that really won't matter. Maybe I'm wrong. Players will take them just as seriously, but I guess we'll just have to see on that. And I'm just crossing my fingers that we get some interesting additions to the exterior events, the skills challenge, the three-point contest, the dunk contest, but I guess we'll see. Right now, the dunk contest is Cassius Stanley, Anthony Simons, and Obi Toppin, who I think are really interesting names. A lot of those guys have some crazy bounce. Cassius Stanley, I believe, actually broke Zion Williamson's vertical record at Duke. Anthony Simons, if you haven't seen the picture, he could touch almost all the way up to the top of the backboard just by jumping. And Obi Toppin is a high flyer. If you watched him play in college, you know that. So these are really interesting guys. It's just unfortunately going to fail to bring in a lot of casual fans who wouldn't watch it unless there's like a big name. For example, if a Zion decided to participate, I'm sure it would bring in a lot more casual fans. And if the whole point of doing this All-Star weekend is to recuperate revenue for the league, I think that a lot of these players dropping out is going to hurt the league in that regard. And in that case, is it even worth having the All-Star weekend? I mean, I'm sure they'll still make money, but And that's all of our topics for today. So let me know what you thought of this. Let me know what you think of the concepts. Let me know what you thought of the topics that I just talked about. Do you disagree? Do you think something's trending up or trending down that I said was going the opposite direction? What are some things I didn't talk about? And what are some upcoming storylines that you think I might have to talk about in a future video? So let me know on all that. I really appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if this is something you'd be interested in as a series. You could do that by either commenting or leaving a like or subscribing. All of those things really, really help me out. And yeah, so with that, I will see you guys later.